Okay, guys, here goes then.
Okay.
All right. Welcome everybody. Good afternoon. We are very happy to have you all in this event today. This event today is all about generative AI, also a little bit about AI itself. Of course, this is a very hot topic today. Represents a lot of new opportunities, but also challenges. And the purpose of this event today is to give you some insights in how you can leverage and use generative AI for innovation. So let's have a quick look at the agenda. Just to give you a little bit of an understanding of what we will be showing you today and what we will be discussing today with you. So actually, we want to give you a little bit of insight on what generative AI from a technology point of view is, and also what AI is. In our discussions with businesses, we see that this is sometimes lacking, this understanding. But also very much, how can you use generative AI to accelerate the innovation process, right? And we've done quite some investigations and experiments to see how that works. And we have actual demo, right? To show you like, hey, if you use this really with tools, how will it come to life? First of all, quick introduction of myself. I'm Hugo Raaijmakers. I work at PA as a partner. I have more than 25 years of experience in digital innovation. I'm very happy to be with my two friends and my colleagues, Willem and Patrick. Patrick, you want to say something about yourself?
Thanks, Hugo. Patrick Das from the Netherlands, working for a couple of years at PA now. Before that, for 7 years or more in the industry, responsible for an innovation fund, supporting people in companies to innovate faster and better. And in parallel, I did a PhD researching how corporates can increase exploration of disruptive and radical innovation. So happy to share today how these type of tools can help companies.
Okay, great. Willem?
Yeah, thanks. Welcome everyone. Willem van Asperen. I'm Chief Data Scientist to PA, so I look after many of the AI and data science jobs we do. And I've been doing that for quite a while now. I think, and we'll touch on the winter aspect of AI. I think I was in the second spring of AI when I started doing this. And I've been doing this kind of work all my life. So I'm really excited to be with you guys. Also welcome to the people that join us through the Real Data Science Meetup channel. Today is going to be a little bit different, no deep technology insights or maths, just how is it going to be applied.
Okay, thanks. So I think we have a really good audience, innovation, digital and AI, and we're very passionate to take you through this story today. So a little bit about where we work. So we work at PA Consulting. It's a global innovation transformation design firm. We work for loads of different industries. We work for Fortune 500 companies, and as such, we have very deep expertise in innovation on the one side, but also very deep expertise in data and AI. Exactly. And this is all combining this together in this topic of generative AI, which we want to take you through today, actually. Now, the first thing that we actually want to sort of highlight, if you go to the next slide, is also what is generative AI and what is AI? And I ask Willem just to give some perspectives on that, because I think it's good to have that understanding.
Let's demystify it.
Let's demystify it. Let's not pretend we're going to demystify it in 10 minutes. I think AI is just a marketing term, right? Back in 1936, there was a guy, Alan Turing, you may have heard of him, cool guy, and he was faced with the challenge: how do you recognize if you're talking to a machine or if you're talking to a real human? Mm-hmm. And he came up with an early days way of making that decision. If you as a human cannot make the distinction whether it's a machine or a real person you're talking to, then you're fooled. Then the machine has now become, say, artificially intelligent. And there's a whole lot you can say about this, and obviously we have surpassed that point now. Because if you're, and I'm sure people on the other end have tried out ChatGPT, it is very much like you're talking to a human being.
Can you tell a little bit about what the journey has been, right?
Yeah.
Where did it start, and where are we now, and then maybe even where are we going?
Where's this going? Yeah. So I think it's good to realize that actually all of this is not very new. It started in the 50s and 60s with, I think, a big step has been the creation of what was then called the perceptron, a machine that would be able to recognize characters and classify them. That was the very first idea of, or later we found an analogy of using a machine that is kind of built as human brains or physical brains work. That was trying to mimic, say, intelligence and recognize characters. That kind of died out because we found that there was a number of fundamental flaws in that design. So then we hit the winter. A whole long period where nothing really happened. There wasn't much investment till, say, the 1980s. This all came back because we then found that actually if you put a number of layers in that perceptron, so you make the model more complex, actually you can now crack many of the big challenges. And that's where machine learning, and specifically for today, we're focusing on neural nets and multi-layered perceptrons, as they were then called.
What can you tell about the future, right? Because in the overview we see everything up to where we are now, right? With the explosion of ChatGPT, which we will address in the next minute. Where will it go? Do you have any understanding? Does anybody have any understanding where it goes, right?
So we've gone from AI winter to now AI war. If you look at ChatGPT came out, a couple of months later, Google tried with BART. Obviously, they had a bit of a wobble back then, but everyone is now rushing to get a piece of this ever exploding pie.
Bing a few weeks ago.
Bing a few weeks ago. Although, they've launched it a few weeks ago. They've been building that for quite a while. They're heavily involved with the GPT guys, OpenAI. So where is this going? GPTs, or the large language models, it's we're at 3.5 now. 4 is already out. 6 is coming, and we've already seen how that is going, and it'll be more of a blend with the text that we have now, but also blended in audio and video and imagery. It's going to be, but where this is going in we can guess in 6 months' time. Beyond that, I honestly don't know.
Okay, well that's a good notion for people. So maybe going back to ChatGPT 3, actually, right?
Yeah.
And it's been all over the news. It has been exploding. Just to give you a number to give you an understanding of how it has been exploding. So December 2022, ChatGPT had 1 million users, which is probably the fastest as every venture in the world ever has had in such a short period of time. But then now, February, so not March, but February, it has 100 million users, right? So it went in a couple of months from 1 million to 100 million, which is, you can even wrap your head around it.
I must say I'm flabbergasted by that number. It's just ridiculous.
It's a nice definition of going viral.
Yeah, viral. Yeah.
I think that the interesting thing is because I use it every day in my searches and always try to validate what I find. But you feel that there is so much pressure on the server because many times it just has an outage, right? You cannot get into it, right? So you feel that there are too many people on the platform. So maybe a question to you, Willem, is that why is that, right? Why? Because it was already happening, but why is it that it now all of a sudden exploded, right?
Well, if you look at it, I mean, it's very easy to use. It's a prompt that you type and you get a response. It's very easy to use.
You can use it.
Even Hugo can use it. So there you go. So it's easy. It's available to the masses. Everyone can get to it if you are in time.
It's for free.
It's very effective, and it's for free. I mean, how can this not explode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. So looking a little bit at ChatGPT, which is now valuated at 30 billion euro, which is astronomical figure. But also we did some digging into the investments that are happening within generative AI, and it's also booming. And then on this picture you see like it's 2022 is already getting really traction. Mm-hmm. 2023 will be a multiplier 5 times probably, right? With all the big tech starting to invest in this, and all the sort of AI and I think you already see this AI ventures and generative AI ventures getting a lot of attention of investors, right? And then you have the war between the big tech companies on this topic, right? Yeah. So maybe a question to you, Willem, just for the audience to understand a little bit on the technology side, right? Generative AI has 2 approaches, GPT and GAN, how they call it. Can you give some background on it?
Yeah, I think there's 2 fundamental concepts that are interesting to understand. It is the generative pre-trained transformers, that's GPT, that's what GPT stands for. Yeah. On one side, that's what ChatGPT is based on, and we'll dive into that. And on the other side, there's GAN, Generative Adversarial Networks. And they started in the 2014, and that's what really made the big shift in generative AI.
2014, you say?
Yeah, and this is really recent, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at the whole history, starting from back in the days, the 50s, then the winter, it slowly started to progress, and now it's boom, 14, 18, 22, 23, etc.
Yeah, it took 8 years to really masses.
Yes. Maybe focusing on, and this might be also interesting for the audience, I think, is that everybody starts using ChatGPT. It's a great tool, but then how it works. So we have a little bit of an overview how this works, and maybe good to explain in a simple way how it works, because then people get an understanding of what it is, what you can expect actually.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So this whole transformers thing, that's the key to the subject. Yeah. A transformer in our world is a model, a system, a module that transforms any input into another output. And it's been trained to make that transformation. So you have transformers that do translation, for instance. You have transformers that create, from a prompt, create an image or a sound or a music. And that's the whole GPT thing. So generative, pre-trained transformers. And the way they work is, and specifically ChatGPT works, is they look at a number of words, and for ChatGPT it's 2048 words that they've seen before, so that's your prompt and what they have said responded themselves, and they just guess what is the next best word. So they've scoured the web, and they've used 700 billion documents to understand the structure of language, to understand the structure of knowledge. If you see those words in sequence, and the different types of words, and the nouns and the verbs, if you see those in sequence, then what is the best guess for the next?
It's sort of pattern recognition on steroids, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's seen a billion combinations of a sentence, and then it says like out of all of those billion options, this is the perfect sort of next word, right? Which is sort of cracking the code on sort of language and knowledge to a certain extent, but it still remains very almost dumb, right? If you think about it, right?
Absolutely, and it's a guess, right? It's a guess what is the next best word.
Yeah.
The output, I am a human.
A human. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Okay. So that's how transformers work. Now GANs, that they're a little bit earlier. GANs are really awesome technology. The tech was there. It's just neural nets. The way that, one thing you need to understand is if you train an artificial model, a neural network or anything in machine learning, one fundamental approach is you use examples. Given this input, this is the output. Given this input, this is the output, etc., etc., etc. And the more examples you give, the better your model will represent, say, the relationship that apparently exists between the input and the output. Now, obviously, if you have a model that has this many variables, it takes a long time to train this.
Yes.
So one trick that GAN uses is let's put two models together, one trying to beat the other. So the way it works is you have what's called a discriminator and a generator. And the discriminator, you feed it a real picture and it says, yeah, that's a real picture. You generate a random picture and it says, no, that's nonsense. That's not a real picture. That forces the generator to think, well, to move its weights, to move the variables, to be better at generating pictures, to beat the discriminator.
Yeah, picture human, picture not a human.
Maybe to sort of ask you a question, right? So on the slide you see this it really is almost funny picture of salmon swimming, right? But probably somebody in DALL-E, which is one of these generative AI image tools on Midjourney, sort of put in a prompt, right? And then got back like it's just something you get out of a supermarket. Salmon that is swimming in a lake, right? Which is
and and that's a great example. I mean, yes, it corresponds to, it is a real image, so the discriminator is fooled. But us as humans are still thinking, well, actually, I don't think that salmon from the supermarket would swim this way.
No.
There's what's really cool now, and I just read the paper the other day, is what we've now been able is extract, do an MRI of someone's brain while they see an image. So, for instance, you show them an image of a teddy bear, you put the output of the measurements of what happens in your brain through a GAN type of solution, and it then starts to generate the picture of the teddy bear that you have just seen. So we now have an interface through your eyes, through your brain, through a model regenerating. Now that is, I think, really scary for a teddy bear.
Maybe a last word on this topic, right? So I've been using Midjourney, one of those generative AI tools for art and images, a lot, right? It's mind blowing. On the slide, you also see this little picture of these weird animals. It's just you can just ask, create a bunch of animals, but then in the style of Jeroen Bos, right? Which is an old medieval painter, right? And he just takes these elements and recreates an entirely sort of new world, but based on some elements, right? So it's not for this session, but it's massively interesting.
Cool.
Maybe a last thing about, and then we go into the innovation part. The last thing about technology, because ChatGPT, of course, front and center in the media, right? So they have been using like this cool trick, right? So what is it, Willem?
I think it's a real cool trick. I explained to you that you need to train a model like this, you need many examples. If you want a real model like ChatGPT that does multilingual and good representation of what seems to be knowledge, seems to be, then you need way too many examples. It would take years to just generate the examples you need to tune that model. So the trick they used, and it's really mind-blowing. It's not new, but what they've done, yes, they have trained the model on a good set of examples. They hired a whole bunch of people to just do this prompt, I'm expecting this answer, this prompt, I'm expecting this answer. But secondly, they trained a model to rank those prompts. Sorry, not the prompts, the responses, yes. Which one is the best one? And they trained the model to make that distinction. So very much like the discriminator in GANs, it ranks those responses. and then now all of a sudden you can sit back and just have your generative model that transforms prompts to responses be judged by another model that gives that feedback to force it to reinforce a better answer from that. So you can just sit back and watch it go.
Amazing.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So we now go into, okay, so this is hopefully for the audience also a little bit of background on the technology and the domain, right? And I feel personally, and I think also Patrick and Willem, if you talk about these topics in the business, in your own business environment, there's simply very little understanding of how this works and what the definition is, right? So it's almost
how you translate it to business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so but also what is it then, right? And I think what this session will be all about for the rest of the remaining time is how can you apply this in an innovation session and how can innovation domain, how can you accelerate it? But of course you can leverage and use generative AI very effectively for marketing, for operations, for digital, for legal, for HR, and those might be other sessions that we will organize. It's just finding the right use cases, tied to the right goals, and use the right generative AI criteria to sort of start tuning in where you can make a lot of more extra revenue or more efficiency.
Understanding also that currently we're using the tools that we currently have. Tomorrow there will be other tools. It is a war out there. It is going really, really fast. Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give the words to Patrick, because Patrick is going to explain, so what is this? Can you already use this for innovation? What is the sort of application? So tell more about that.
No, I think up front you see that many are using it, and you see on LinkedIn, on web, you see different examples of how you can use it, how people are using it, and I think there's many tools out there. So what you see is, to the point of Willem, we created an overview of some of these tools that we have applied, that we have tried, that we have used with our clients. But actually this morning with our conversation, there's already new tools. Yeah. So just go out there. I think you have a website, was it Futuretopia?
Futurepedia.com is one of the websites. It's like a sort of a Google for AI tools, right? Go there and have a look. It's overwhelming.
A bit overwhelming.
It's the tool that we use on our daily stand-up call to go through what's happening today.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And then it's of course trying these tools and seeing how it benefits. And what we see now is overall, these tools with all the constraints, I think it helps you to speed up market research. One, it sparks creativity, right? Normally we would stand on the wall and put some sticky notes there. Let's also ask, let's ask the machine to help us think. Yeah. That's what it helps. And it helps with faster prototyping. Many things.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And how, so these tools are great, right? But then there is also the innovation process, and we've gone through that many times, right? Yeah. How then, the interesting question is then, when do you use what tool with what purpose, right? Because that's the next level, right? That you start having a process yourself and influx those tools and then accelerate actually what you do, right?
Yeah, no, indeed. And there are some tools you can use throughout the process, right? ChatGPT you can use for different stuff, but there are some tools that are very, very specific for validating your business idea or creating a prototype. And I think what we'll do is first we'll show on a page, okay, if you map this innovation process that everybody kind of knows, what kind of tools are applicable for a certain phase and what are the benefits. And then afterwards, let's show some demos, how we just created it, so people can play with it themselves.
Hey, and Patrick, I also going to show what's not so great.
Yes.
I always paraphrase people on the web that say it's eloquent BS.
It's funny you're saying, because in the beginning people were just using ChatGPT to write, for example, LinkedIn messages. Now you see that people say this has been written by ChatGPT because people know it. And of course, when you put in two queries, you might get this different answer, and we're gonna show how that works. But still, I think it will add value for innovators.
Because remember, it's only predicting the best next word.
Yes. Yes.
Could be anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's doing it in a very efficient way.
Very eloquently. Yeah.
Very
I agree.
eloquent.
Yeah.
But let's go to this process. So, different processes. I think lots of people will know them out there. You start with discovering, what is out there? What's the context? What kind of industry do we want to find a new innovation for? What kind of technologies are there? What kind of trends are there? Well, let's first ask ChatGPT, put in a prompt to, for example, get some sense about the entire context. Normally you would go into, let's find market research, let's call some agencies, come up with some reports. Before doing that, let's scan quickly what is out there.
Yeah.
And that's what it helps you with, for example. Second, also diverging, right? So it helps you to quickly understand, what are parties in the ecosystem? Tell me, are there currently companies, startups active here? Are there new technologies that I should be aware of? Of course, we can go to Gartner, but we can also, get an overview via this tool. And these are some of the applications in the first phase of discovery.
And maybe good, apart from the tools, right, which I think are really effective, right?
Yeah.
What I personally have found out, and I've done a couple of advanced courses, is that you need to know how to prompt the AI application, right? There is actually a lot of sort of knowledge and know-how how to put in something which gets you back the right output, and it's sort of, some people say it's a new sort of how do you call it, a skill, new sort of talent, new sort of role, new sort of job, right? Prompt engineer. I've been in here now quite deep, and I must say, if you do it's you start to think like algorithms in your head, and you are 10 times more effective. And especially with innovation, where you do research, you have to come up with new ideas. You can come up with really good stuff, right? And you still need to validate it,
Absolutely.
right? It's never the complete truth. You need to validate it, but the output is like much better, right?
As always, it's garbage in is garbage out. And we have been using it and we get better, but we're still not getting optimum. So it's completely changing. It also depends on the tool you use, how you write your prompts effectively.
Yeah, but little things like avoid, give me the best 5 something. Because you don't know if it's the best 5. You don't know what you don't know. So just give me 5, just as a prompt. And maybe repeat that same prompt a couple of times.
That's it. I will show that in a second.
Cool.
Now maybe it's good indeed to show that. So what is it? What are the sort of some of the learnings or the applications when you look at a real case, right? And you get your teeth into a real case. Can you show us how that would work?
Yeah, and I think what we'll do a few demos. So first, let's use ChatGPT to support us in the early phases of innovation. Let's validate some ideas with a tool, Validator AI, but also later, let's create a landing page and let's see how we can do that right. Because back in the days, it was done differently. And to your point, it has pros and cons, and that's good to be aware of.
And maybe good before you dive into the case. So we have been looking into many tools. There are many tools that you could use per innovation phase. Of course, for this session, we just lifted out a couple of them. But it's a very wide spectrum, right? For very detailed things, you can use various tools actually, right?
And these are some of the tools we just used that are on this page. Some we don't show, but there's tools to create customer journeys, right? You just instantly, boom, put it on the wall. It's quite interesting.
You have also tools to create a whole PowerPoint these days.
Oh, I'd love that.
You just put in all the info and the images, and it outputs like a complete deck. It's pretty good actually.
So you right front use the PA consulting template, give me a deck.
It makes our life very easy. But
excellent.
Can you show us some of the case?
So when doing that, let's take a use case. So we're Dutchies, so let's take a Dutch retail bank, right? And for a retail bank, let's come up with some innovations. Let's start at the beginning, right? So let's find out what opportunity areas are. So what we just do in a prompt is basically asking ChatGPT, putting in a prompt saying, hey, can you come up with 5 interesting opportunities for a Dutch retail bank to launch new products? Well, let's make sure that it's comprehensible and it's concise. So we create a table. In the first column, we want them to list the 5 opportunities, then a short description. Let's do it MBA style. Let's do 30 words. And in the last column, of course, the source. Because we don't know what we don't know, but if there's source, we can start checking it and go into detail. Okay. So basically what you see over here is, in an instance, it provides you with 5 different sources, short description, and 5 areas.
And you know what I've experienced myself is that for this list, which is already sort of a great creativity start, right?
Exactly.
You could ask, like, give me for each idea 10 sources, right? From renowned reports across the world, right? So you can, your sort of mind is the limitation on how detailed and how sort of structured and validated you want to go, right?
Yeah. And I would urge you to actually check those sources.
Exactly.
Because there is many incidents where it comes up with a source that isn't really the source, or it quotes it is misquoted. So really follow the source and check if it's correct.
Yeah, but there's ample opportunities for this, right? You can get a question from the C-suite or the manager. Hey, can you figure out something about sustainable finance? Okay, well, let's quickly get some reports, and then you can get started.
Hey, tell me, how is this different from just using any search engine like Google or?
Yeah, what you find over here is you get a very concise summary. So it helps you when you put in a query to get this concise summary, and that's really helpful. Normally, you go to Google, I'll ask the question, and I get thousands of links with reports. I need to click through it, irrespective of your search engine.
So
you get a concise,
very
quickly targeted, and so that kind of works.
Yeah, and from a technical point of view, that summarization of a document, that is really awesome. That is like a transformer. I put a big document in, transform it into a summary. That's the transformer aspect.
Yeah.
Cool.
Limitations, ChatGPT is the database goes up until 2021. So the data it has. Yeah. However, what we've done is last week Bing also is open. So I had to put myself on a waiting list. And you just hope and pray, and then one day later I got access to the waiting list. Yeah. So what we've done is actually put the same query in Bing and just see what happens.
Okay.
And what you find over there as well, Bing has a different interface, but whatsoever, it has a bar where you can put in your chat, so I think it's quite user friendly. Yeah. What it does is, it thinks a bit longer, but then it comes up with 5 different areas.
5 different from ChatGPT?
Yes.
Okay.
It comes up with the kind of description, which is kind of similar style because we asked it for the same. Yeah. The sources are different. You can see over here it's 2022, right? So it's
so it's connected to the internet, right?
It's real data, current data.
It's So basically, it's different. However, what is good to understand, if we ask the query twice, you're not sure, and this is based on the logic you just explained, that you get the same answer.
Yeah. And it's just guessing the next best word.
Yeah, it's guessing. And but again, it allows you to really understand, okay, what is out there. Just for exploratory purposes. And it speeds up the process. Okay. That's what it does.
All right. So now I have my ideas. Then what
what's the next step?
Yeah, so you just pick something, and for the sake of the demo, we say, okay, let's focus on sustainable finance, and let's understand the market landscape. So now we use a different tool, Write Sonic, also connected to the internet, and basically we ask them, okay, can you show me 5 startups, 5 banks in the Netherlands that are currently in this space? And just show me what kind of products they have and what kind of websites we need to go through to check it. Back to your point, we want to check it. So it allows me to quickly get this overview on the internet with these 10 parties. You can do 100, you can do 20, you can ask this to ChatGPT, different. So it allows you to very quickly do this assessment in the market. Okay, what is out there? Who's servicing this?
Yeah, and I think it's important that I continuously memorize myself that your imagination is the limit with this, right? Because now you have 3 columns, right? But I can have 5, 6 columns with very detailed market sizing. And so it can build very complex things, but your own mind is sometimes the limitation of what you can get out, right? So that is a constant sort of thing you need to remember yourself, like I could ask for 100 ideas, right? Or for 1,000 ideas.
Not only your mind, because this tool, for example, it's limited free use, 20 attempts.
Oh,
So
that's another.
you need to be careful.
All these tools are free, right?
For now.
For now, yeah, exactly. That's the catch.
Yeah. So and this JetSonic has less advanced output. Is our sense of it. So
Okay.
if you use ChatGPT, you get really nice summaries.
Yeah.
For this tool, it's a bit less. Bing also has its pros and cons. We'll just go to the internet and Google.
Yeah.
What the difference are. Or
So
ask ChatGPT what the difference is.
Exactly.
But it won't know because it's all data, right?
But Bing will know.
Bing will know.
Yeah.
Bing will know.
So for the sake of time, let's show another example. So one step further, problem fit. What you would normally do in problem fit is, we got a hunch, sustainable finance. We want to go there because apparently there's some companies, there's some tech, there's some trends. So in an innovation process, you set up your hypothesis. So what do we need to understand to decide to continue? And what kind of experiments do we set up? What kind of success metrics? Well, we do this with teams, sometimes very hard. But why not asking the tool? Because it's basically a chat. So first we have asked, okay, what is the area? Then you can start continuing. So you can ask it hypothesis, experiments, etc. For sake of this one, we wanted to try customer needs and understand customer needs better. So you can ask that as well. So basically you come up with what you see over here, 5 customer needs in this area. And then you're like, yeah, but I have my own customers. So it allows you to integrate it with what are my current customers perceiving, because that might be very easy in companies, but also, for example, customers that are currently not in your scope or on the other side of the planet, right? If you do customer research, should we go to Japan with our service? You can just find out, okay, what are the customer needs over there? To your point, your mind is a limitation. This is just to show there's some steps.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. I got some different tools. Over here, we ask it, okay, can you come up with, ideate some offers? So basically you can ask that as well. Again, your mind is a limitation. So we say, for sake of this exercise, come up with 5 offers. So we don't think about ourselves. But what you can do is, of course, with your team, you already have thought about offers, and then you can just basically say, okay, is there anything we have missed? Then,
so you would say this is augmenting a real team session where you go through the same
this
process.
is how we use it, right? If it's not an exercise on its own, but basically when you have a team, okay, let's check out, let's find out if there are things we've missed, and it also saves you from doing market research, very in depth, bothering people in your organization that are very busy, for example. It allows you to, before that time, already get a hunch, I would say.
Maybe just one point to come back to the ChatSonic, Raaijmakers application. The interesting thing about that is that it's actually designed to write marketing texts, right? And LinkedIn posts and stuff like that, right? So actually it's the sort of, there's an API built on top of ChatGPT that has already prompts in it, but I can just click on the button. So it actually eases up your whole marketing sort of tooling with a tool like Raaijmakers. So definitely also worthwhile to have a look at, right? But you will see more and more tools that are using an API to ChatGPT and just build their own sort of application of it. The coming months, right?
Yes. The next session.
Next session.
That detail, But for now, I also want to show another tool. So let's assume that we know this is an idea. So back in the time, I was responsible for this innovation fund, and I also got all the emails, company emails with ideas flowing in. So what do? Okay, I got a very difficult idea. I have to call Willem because I need to have a chat with him. But now you can just put it also in the tool and say, okay, is this a good idea? And you can look back the questions without using my brain myself.
You can still call them.
Yeah, you can still call. I know I can call you, but for some people it's more different. So what we've done here is, let's assume we're a green bank and we're gonna offer consumers
sustainable
financial benefits with a new product. So let's put that in the system, a green bank account, with financial rewards. Is that a good idea? Let's get a first hunch. And basically what it does is you tap it in, validate AI.
So you just type, this is my idea.
This is my idea. And it needs to think, of course. And then basically it gives you, okay, let's come up with some good things and some bad things about it. So some first critical feedback. So it allows you, before talking to Willem or even to family and friends, okay, let's quickly check if there are some things I missed. Because it would be very painful if I call you and say, Patrick, you could have thought about these yourself.
exactly.
So it allows you to
Yeah.
get a first hunch.
I
Of
will
course,
say that, yeah.
this tool is for free, so you always see a video attached
Of
to
course.
it.
And I also use it a couple of times, and I think it becomes more effective if you use a more extensive prompt, right? And then really start stepping in. And I must honestly say, it's quite. I have had some
Impressive.
quite interesting results. Like, didn't think about that insight that this idea might not work, right? From an IT point of view, and it's just. It's
But then again, it's not. There's no guarantee it's exhaustive.
No.
There's even no guarantee that it's correct.
So I'll always call you,
Yeah.
Willem. I'll always call you to check it.
Always call me.
You're gonna get busy.
Okay,
fine.
we got a last one, and that's creating a landing page. Because let's assume we have this idea, and now we want to test it with customers. What you would do is set up a website, create some traffic via Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, I don't know what kind of media you use these days. And then you try to gear them towards a website and click on the yes, I'm interested button. So back in the days, and let's run it, it would cost you a couple of days, maybe weeks. It would cost you thousands of euros to write this website. So basically what we've put in is this value proposition, and then it designs a logo. It thinks about a startup name. It writes the site copy. It basically adds social sharing. It also performs even search engine optimization. And basically what it then does, it just generates this website just in, seconds, minutes. As you can see over here, it has a lot of content. So, and it has people can add their email. It gives a little bit of content about what this value proposition is about. So it allows you, of course, to push this way easier and way faster. So just this will reduce waste in your pipeline.
Maybe good to mention for the audience also is that if we talk about generative AI, we talk about images, video, text, code, right?
Yeah, music.
Music, indeed. And this building of this website is now with images and code, right? And it can do it automatically. But also what's in the mix is for instance what Google just will launch anytime soon is Dream Mix. It's an engine that can create from text videos, right? It is progressing quite rapidly, right? So the movie industry will probably have a challenge in a couple of years.
But you said Google is launching this.
Google is launching.
They have woken up.
They have woken up, certainly. Everybody wakes up, right?
Like I said, it's a war, right?
It's a war. Okay.
So, anything more on the innovation process and how you, do you have any sort of advice for the audience on the application of these sorts of new tools or the usage of prompt engineering, right?
No, I think, and it's also on this screen, I think, it's just play with it. And we've just showed a few tools, and these tools, you don't know what you don't know. I really like that when you say that, right? So it's playing around with it and using it. Let's create this landing page. How can you change it? Does it cost you? How do you launch it? Second, don't trust it. Always check it, right? And you've seen it at schools that people just hand in their thesis is written completely over here. Well, I think that's not even possible anymore.
Maybe to that point, so I have a little anecdote myself, right? I was writing a marketing text and then I was pushing it through ChatGPT. And then to your earlier point, I was reading it, and because it was rewritten by ChatGPT, and it reads quite well. Some things I could not do better probably, but then there is this kind of algorithm in it that it starts repeating things, right? Probably that's where it lacks, right? And you can, if you read through it, it's weird, right? So you cannot completely trust the system yet.
You can't
right?
copy paste and use it.
You cannot, right? So, and maybe also that's the one of the reasons also that there is this tooling on the internet now a lot, and even OpenAI brought in a tool that can identify if a certain text is written by a engine, right? Because that's going to be important, right? Think about universities and schools and stuff like that.
But I think for innovation, it's just an accelerator, right?
Yeah.
Accelerator.
To do very cumbersome tasks
Yeah.
quickly, to get a hunch,
Yeah.
and to get, be quicker, save some
Yeah.
money, save some resources, because it's not that difficult anymore. I think in the last years it's become increasingly easy to write a landing page. There's a lot of tools out there.
Sure.
This is even a step further,
Yeah.
right? So that's it.
Hey, and
But-
oh, sorry.
Yeah, so maybe to add to that, so we also have a lot of clients in the consumer manufacturing industry, fast-moving consumer goods, right? There you see that the R&D process uses a lot of databases with consumer insights, right? So what we've now shown is that how can you apply it in the process itself, not touching any systems, but of course the next steps, especially for these kinds of companies, will be that we start looking for certain patterns in those customer databases and tap that into the innovation funnel process at the right moment, right? So, hey, we come to the solution part. We have generative AI algorithms just scraping the whole customer insight database and pulling out specifically for a certain brand what are the sort of best solutions there, right? So that is actually a next step which will come up.
I think that's the unique combination. You have customer intelligence from your company, you have information over here, you have some challenges that have been brought in, and you can match it with what is out there. And this allows you to just quickly integrate it.
Yeah. So when you say don't trust, always check, it's not just checking, is the output correct? Is the claim that the machine actually made, is that claim correct? But also check for exhaustiveness. It will be a list.
Yes.
There's no guarantee that this is all there is to be said about it.
No. Do the ranking and prioritization yourself. Let that not be done by a tool. The third one, apply it, right? Just start doing it. Find a case, okay, this is not working out, let's do it with a team, let's do it with the management team or with a bunch of innovators. Just take an afternoon and just try it. It's quite easy, right? Some tools are for free, but some tools you have to pay for it, but it's nothing. Again, it will not always be for free. So start trying today to understand which tools you want. And I think we mentioned before, new tools pop up every day. So that's why we have our session. Let's find out what's new and what can help us, right? And then see how we do it. I think what is not on this page is also copyright. If you see that landing page, of course, be aware of what kind of photos you use. You mentioned it with your balls and the imagery. You think you know better than me, but there's many lawsuits going to that area. So always be careful, always check it, but it helps you to accelerate.
Okay, so we hope that you've got an idea what generative AI is, what AI is. So I think that the basic knowledge on how the technology works just enables you to have a better understanding and also to explain people in your environment when you start using it, what it is, what it can do, what it cannot do, right? And I think especially what Willem has been also an advocate of, some things it cannot do, right? There's really limitations on it, and I think you need to make people aware of that. And to the second point, don't trust that system always. You need to check it, right? We obviously are very passionate about this topic. It brings together innovation, creativity, and technology.
Hard tech,
and we have hard debates about how to use it, right?
And it can have a big impact, right?
It will have a big impact.
It will have.
And it already has, right? Looking at the AI war which broke out. Apart from that, we're very passionate about this topic. We also work with several clients currently on this topic. So we are gaining insights and sort of ways of doing how to get to real business effectivity. So what are your business goals? What are your key use cases? How do we prioritize those use cases? How do we put business value on this use case? How do we connect it to our partners and vendors like OpenAI and others, right? To actually start scraping your databases and applying this sort of algorithms to it. So I would say reach out to us if you want to sort of collaborate or if you want to have a chat with us, knowing that we're really passionate about this topic and we will drive it forward in all fashions.
Yeah, but step number one, just get those tools and just try it out.
Yeah, you need to try it.
Try it out.
It's so easy.
Cool.
Okay, with this, I want to sort of end the session. Also, give you 10 minutes back of your time to start thinking about this and start considering how to move forward with this and how to just grab it and get the benefit out of it. Right? And the fun. It's fun.
It's good fun. It's good fun.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.
See you later.
Cheers.